All right, third graders, so we're ready to get started with our coil vessels today, and it's kind of hard to see this one properly because of the bright colors that I used, but we're going to start out with some sort of flat piece. That's going to be our slab, and notice how I have my name or my initials kind of already carved into it, and then I know this is hard to see, but I just had to put 18 because that was the year that I made this, and then we're adding coils, and we've got just our regular standard coils down here. I did a couple layers of those, and then I started adding some spiral coils as well. So we're going to get started. You're each going to get a flat slab like this, and you're also going to have a fork at your table for scoring like we practiced the other day, and we've got our water cup off to the side here, and then I have a needle tool. And you might have a metal needle tool like this, or you might have a bamboo one, but they both work pretty well. So we're going to use about half of this slab to start our base, okay? So the base is this part. That's going to make sure that we have a sturdy foundation for our pot or our vessel or whatever you decide that you're going to make. But the nice thing about clay is that we can erase it. So if I start drawing my base and I kind of want some sort of circle or oval shape here and I make a mistake, okay, and I decide that's not how I actually want it to look, I can just go ahead and cover over it, okay, because I'm barely drawing into the surface, just like I would do with like a pencil or something like that. So I'm going to draw whatever shape I like. I think that looks pretty good. Once I have the shape that I like, then I'm going to push down all the way through the clay, and I'm going to use my needle tool as kind of like a knife to go ahead and cut that out. Alright, and if I need to go about halfway, scrape off some of that clay, put it off to the side I can. Go around and do the same thing. Okay, and then I can kind of cut it like this and move that off to the side to take that out completely. Now I have to decide which is going to be the top and which is going to be the bottom. It really doesn't matter on this piece, but whatever side is going to be the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my initials. And if you want, you can add the year. So in this case, 2020. And then I'm also going to ask that you put your class code. So 3M, 3S, 3KM, whatever that ends up being, put that on the bottom. And then we can flip that over. Now we should have quite a bit of clay left over to start our coils. So when we do that, we're just going to take it. And the first thing that I like to do is I like to ball it up. And then when we practiced our coils, we all started with a ball typically, or you can start with a rectangle. I might have some extra slab pieces and things, but we're just going to take it, I'm going to squeeze it like this, and that's going to start to roll it into a coil a little bit, and then I can roll it out either with one hand or with two hands. And if I start to get a spot that kind of gets flat, and I'm just kind of going back and forth, then I can put it on its side and squish that down and then re-roll it. But we want our coils, you can tell this one's not very long, we only want it to be about as thick as our pinky, okay? If it gets too much thinner than that, it's going to be really hard to start attaching things. But once I am ready to attach, I'm going to start scoring, alright? So I'm going to kind of push down with my fork all in one direction, and then back in the other direction to create like a crisscross pattern here. And then I have to make sure that I do the same thing on my base. So while I'm at it, I'm just going to go all the way around the base here. Okay, one direction and then back the other direction. So that's called scoring. Then we got to get our water, and we're going to slip it, make it just a little wet there, and then we're going to squish it down. Okay? And I know that I'm going to end up putting some more layers on top of this one, so while I'm doing this, I might as well just score it again so that when my next one's done, I'm ready to go. Okay, so as long as I still have some more clay here, I can just keep squishing that together, starting to roll it out. One hand works, otherwise two hands. Don't just roll the middle, make sure you work your way out to the sides. It's a little flat, I'm going to squish it back down. That's good to go. And we might be sharing tools, so if somebody else is using your scoring tool, you could also use your needle tool to make that, the scoring is just going to take a little bit longer. It still works. Again, we're going to slip it, score, slip, the last thing to do is squish it, okay? And that's going to start to come up then, and I'm starting my second layer now, if you can see that very well. And I can see a little gap here, so I want to make sure I squish it down even more, and I can go in and I can kind of smooth things out if I want to, just to make sure they're stuck together really good. If I don't score it and slip it, then it could just fly right off, so make sure you do that. And now I'm to the point I've got at least one layer. If I want to start making some funkier things, I could. So if I want to roll out my next coil here and turn it into a spiral, okay, I can do that. I'm just going to start, oops, it tore a little bit. I rolled too much at a time. Just start rolling it in on itself like this. Score it. And while I'm at it, I might as well just score the whole thing because I know I'm going to be adding more pieces around it, but I'm going to score that both directions. Make sure it's kind of like Velcro. Those pieces are going to fit together here. And I forgot to score that piece that I just added. Got to try to remember to do that as I go. Slip it and squish it right on there. And right now this one's going to be a little delicate, so it's going to be important that I keep adding more and more around it and adding them up. But that's how we're going to get started today. If it takes us one class period, awesome. If it takes us two, that's all right too, but we're just going to get started with that. When I'm done at the end of class, this is going to go into a Ziploc baggie with my name on it, and then I'm going to put a wet paper towel in there too so that that clay doesn't dry out, but we'll talk about that more later.